Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So now let's move on to the last section, which is going to be about portioning your meat. So after this video, you should be able to cut the meat into large cuts that are ready to cook and store the meat properly on ice. So I'm going to make sure my area is clean. Anything that's in the way that needs to be moved is going to be moved out the way. But it's always best to work in a clean area, especially if you're going to be cutting your meat. So with my sharp knife, I'm going to just make a little incision on the shank portion of the front leg, and then the shoulder is going to be separated from the body of the animal just by pulling and slicing with your knife. There's no bones, nothing's connecting the shoulder to the body other than connective tissue. So instead of using my knife like I did on the first front leg, I'm going to take my saw and cut. A few strokes on the saw with the saw is going to allow me to go right through the leg, and I can use my knife to cut off any other portion that's left. I do apologize again for my saw because the saw handle broke off from the tip part, so I didn't have the best grip on it. One thing that you should keep in mind is that all the cuts that are made on the animal are totally to your discretion. You can cut them as big as you like as well as small as you like, depending on the situation, and what we have in mind for the family will depend on how we like to make our cuts. There's been times where we even cooked the animal whole, and there's been times where we have cut the animal into much smaller pieces. So everything is pretty much up to you. As you see, I've punctured the neck area to make a handle. That handle that I made is going to allow me to hold the neck a lot better and position myself turning and twisting, so that way I can get the cut where I need it to be. So we're working now with some vertebrae in the neck, and I'm going to cut the meat around so I can locate the vertebrae and see the bone itself, and then I'm going to work my knife through the cartilage that's in between the neck by twisting and just getting in between the bone using the zigzag method. And with that meat cut off, I'm going to go ahead and just put it in the ice. I'm going to start off again by making what I call a handle, which is just a puncture in the meat, so that way I can hold the animal securely, especially when it comes down to cutting. Safety is of the most important priorities for us. So in order to bust through these ribs in the front, from this breastbone, I'm going to press down on my knife in a forward moving motion, and it slices right through. You want to make sure that you have a knife that's going to have some good grip, that you're comfortable with holding the knife, as well as you can push down securely without the knife slipping. The knife I was using wasn't my preferred knife, but it was a knife that did the job. As you see, I've upgraded to my saw to get in between the meat and the bone. Again, I'm trying to cut between the meat and also cut between the cartilage. As I push down, I'm using my knife, it's just slicing right between the cartilage and the bone, making it easier for it to cut down. Again, the way you cut your meat is totally up to you on how you want your meat to be done. So with a little extra pulling, I'm going ahead and breaking off the bottom portion of the rib. And now I have everything all in one, all intact, and we have our ribs in the cooler. I'm going to go ahead and grab my handle so I can make sure I'm safely and securely holding it, and I have some good leverage. And again, pushing down on my knife, pushing and pulling, and trying to get between the bone and the cartilage. That's all we need to do. So to cut the backbone off, we're going to go ahead and get by the hind and the backbone where it meets, and we're going to bend and get in between the big joint that joins the backbone to the hind. If you get in between that, you can pretty much slip your knife through, take a little bend here or there, and it's going to pass right through. You can also use your saw if you like, but we're going to go ahead and just take the cartilage with our knife and separate. Going between the cartilage allows you to get a good clean cut. Now it's totally up to me to leave this piece all as one, but I also have to think about the pan size that I'm going to put it in, so I'm going to cut it in half. Now with the hind, we have the remaining piece, which was coming from the penis of the animal. I threw that away. I took the tail and put that in the cooler. And now we're going to go ahead and work the hinds to separate the pelvis area. So I'm going to go ahead and make two handles so I can hold the meat securely. Once I have the meat securely, I'm going to cut down so I can see where the pelvic bone is. And when I begin my sawing, I can see where the bone is and just saw straight through. So now what we're doing is just cutting the hind leg, and I'm going to cut the hind leg without removing it from the gambrel, the hook, so that way it has an even amount of weight and it doesn't tip it over. So I'm going to again just saw through the bone, 1, 2, 3 with that. Once I finish sawing through, then I can cut off the meat and put it in the cooler. So alhamdulillah, ladies and gentlemen, we have finished slaughtering our animal. We started with the live sheep, and we have finished till we have an animal all in the cooler. This is a great accomplishment. We did it safely. We have a clean area. Our meat is clean. And most importantly, we did everything in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our meat is halal. We know where it came from. It's fresh. And guess what? We have food that's ready for dinner tonight. Hope you guys have enjoyed this course and you've benefited from it. And if you would, leave any comments or any questions in the emails that we have provided at the end of the course. Have a good one and enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Thanks for watching and learning. Now go cook something special.